So you've already done the hard work. You won the client, delivered the project, got great results, and then you moved on to the next one. But here's what most creative agency owners never do. They end up never documenting it. They never turn that result into a story. And that story is the most powerful sales tool that you have. Not just your portfolio, not your pitch deck, not your pricing page, a real case study told the right way to something none of those things can ever do. It makes a future client look at someone else's result and think, that could be me. In this video, I'm gonna show you exactly how you can build it. So here's the reality of the world, is most agencies end up confusing testimonials with case studies, and they're not the same thing at all. Testimonials are endorsements. Case studies are proof of what took place. Testimonials are vague, and case studies are incredibly specific. Most agency owners assume clients don't want to participate, and they don't have a system around actually going about to collect these items consistently. And so that's the reality of the world, and I want to shift that paradigm for you. And so here's some things that I want you to be thinking about, is that the true reality and distinction between testimonials and case studies is that testimonials can say that this agency is great, and case studies show you why, how, what, when, what took place. Testimonials can be actually quite hard to collect, where case studies tell a story. There's the before, there's the after, there's the intervention, there's intrigue, there's learning lessons that allows for someone to actually understand the situation, to actually buy it. I mean, bluntly, online, when you're looking at something and you just see that someone's had this transformational story happen and that they haven't told you any of the in-between that actually shows how long and how much hard and painstaking work it actually took to achieve, do you believe it? I don't. Your clients don't either. So you can always pull a testimonial from a case study because there's a dozen of them, many dozens of them potentially, but you can't pull a case study from a testimonial because you don't actually have the emotional layer that's necessary to build it in the first place. So let's talk about why case studies in the first place, why they actually work. And so they build trust faster than any other marketing asset, really. They overcome objections before they even happen because the person actually understands the true narrative of what took place. Let's talk about the human existence for a moment. When you think about things about how we actually understand and create connection with other people, is we actually understand where they've been. We're able to actually empathize with another human being. But for us, the reality of the world is that we only start to make action forward when we feel like it's safe to do so. We are incredibly adept at being able to identify risk, identify danger, and avoid it. That is actually the thing that human beings are the best at as a species, as an animal. And the reality is that we are no longer facing life-threatening situations on a daily basis unless we've put ourselves in them, generally at least in the Western world. But we do have financial risk, we do have sales risk, we do have vendor risk, we have all sorts of other types of risk that ultimately ends up having the exact same trigger. In order for us to actually feel comfortable moving forward, we first have to believe that we are capable of doing something. And that's what case studies meaningfully are able to do, is they are able to actually have someone understand, here's the situation that someone was in, here's the thing that they wanted to accomplish. I want both of those things. But the story in between allows for someone to truly empathize with the situation and see the pathway forward for themselves. It allows for you to be able to position yourself as the expert without you ever having to say it, because bluntly, having to say it sucks. It's not fun. They work 24/7 with you in the background because people are able to just watch them whenever they want, especially if you have them posted in a meaningful way. And so it allows for you to help overcome this imposter syndrome as well, because now you have loads of affirmations that other people have shared about you and the work that you've been able to accomplish with them. And so it allows for you to feel more secure in the direction that you're headed. So step one, I want you to actually put a list of clients together. I want you to prioritize the clients who got great results. The ones who loved working with you, the ones that have measurable results of what the work you've done has had impact and output to the clients. Don't go after the difficult ones. You want to start with the obvious ones because it's going to make things a whole lot easier. What I find really useful is reaching out at the natural end of the engagement, not months later or years later, but when things ultimately make sense. With a massive caveat, you need to have known and they need to have been able to measure the outcome of the work that you put into place. So the reality of the world is, if you are a branding agency, immediately after the project is completed, it's not going to actually have measurable outcomes. You're going to have to wait some time. Start with one. It's easy for you to be able to reach out to just one and get just one in the first place. You'll start to feel better, easier about this once you've gone through just the first one. Step two, you're going to go through and collect the story. My preferred way to do it is in a live interview or a call with them. It allows for you to have a bit more of a dynamic conversation, being able to actually get a bit deeper, allow for you to be able to build even more relationship with this person as well, because it allows for you to both reminisce through the actual project and the relationship that you have built. You can ultimately do this with like a tool like Video Ask that allows for you to be able to do it asynchronously if you find that your clients are just incredibly busy and very difficult to get time on. And you can have both as an option depending on where their clients go. There's three main things that you must capture throughout this. First place is where did they begin? Where were they? That includes two components: measurable, where they were background, and then how they felt about it. Remember that we connect how people feel and we empathize with that. Then we need to understand exactly what the challenge was, what their concerns were with it. It allows for us to capture that objective of what they're looking to accomplish. And then finally, the outcome, what measurably took place, and then how did they feel about it at the end. So those are the three things that you must capture going through it. It's very important that you also make sure that you have some component of what you specifically did to help. Assuming that you had this impact, you actually did produce this work, they're going to have mentioned you throughout the process. But it's incredibly important that you have specific results. So how is the business different now? Did it increase revenue? Has it increased LTV? Do they have greater brand recall? Are their advertising dollars working better? Is it that people are now sticking better? The conversion rate on their sites better? What exactly happened meaningfully that was different for them? I do highly recommend that you brief them before the recording, making sure that they're able to make eye contact in the right place, that they use ideally the agency name and not you as an example, making sure that you're able to actually get through things, but also giving them the numbers, potentially, if they're not a numbers person, the numbers that they need to be able to share. Ideally, you want to keep the whole conversation. The interview necessarily can go a bit longer because you're going to end up cutting this down, but you want to try to target a total of 5 minutes for this total interview. Then you're going to edit it, you're going to structure it. So not going to mansplain to all of you video editing. Try to keep it under 5 minutes. Try to cut out anything redundant. Make sure that it's not slow and that it keeps things on topic. I highly recommend that you transcribe the video so that you can use it as a written version. Format that written version into headlines, pulled quotes, strong headlines, details, the journey of where things have been, that seller's journey, if you will, that third-party sell. That is that archetype of a case study. The headlines should be able to speak to results, not just how great you are, but the things that ultimately happen, because that's why someone is buying from you. They're buying an outcome, not because you're great. That's great that you are, and will make them feel more comfortable, but they're buying an outcome. Then you want to make sure that you get permission to publish the work, to publish this live on your site. You want to make sure that it is approved by the client, making sure that they feel comfortable about it, make sure that you put it in front of them before it actually goes live. Some clients may want to stay anonymous, and often case for us, we keep them anonymous. And why we don't actually have last names or the agency names involved, because we don't actually want to compete with them from an SEO perspective. So I want you to get comfortable with the process. Most clients, especially the happy ones, are incredibly happy to participate. Written permission protects you, makes it more likely for them to be able to share it as well. It allows for it to be distributed, which is step number 5. Publish the video, publish the case study live on your site. Ideally, build a results page that you can start to collate all these case studies that can be filtered based on the archetype of the person, the industry that you work in, the kinds of details of what work you've done. Use these case studies throughout your site that allow for you to be able to link out, to allow for people to understand what's going on, include them in your proposals, include them in the conversations that you're having, in the follow-up emails that you send after sales calls, that allow for people to make these meaningful decisions while they're making a buying decision working with you. So it allows for people to really understand you. Use it in social media. That same story could be remixed in loads of different platforms. Allows for you to be able to sell without actually you needing to sell, which is my favorite piece of it. So the thing that ultimately changes when you start using case studies in your sales process, as prospects come to sales calls with fewer objections, trust is built in the conversation from the very beginning. You're able to raise your rates because you now have meaningful proof of the work that you're able to provide. You stop feeling like you have to convince people because they already feel comfortable. And so you're able to get to every completed project into a future sales asset now, because you're able to continually repeat these outcomes, details, and emotional experiences that draw new sales in the door. Every completed project is a story worth telling, and the agencies that tell those stories consistently are the ones that prospects trust before they ever get on a call. But even with great case studies, some agencies still struggle to convert, and more often than not, the problem isn't the work, it's the positioning. So if prospects aren't choosing you, there's a reason for it. So I want you to watch this next video on why clients don't choose your creative agency and find out what's actually standing in the way.